Maybe I just suck at the game, but I always really struggle to aim flood properly, which kinda ruins the game for me. Regardless, this game is still amazing, just not as good as the other Mario titles on this list.
This is a Mario fan. We'll call him Bob. Bob just happened to stumble upon this Nintendo Direct, which turned out to be Mario's 35th anniversary celebration. Now, there were many things revealed in this Direct, but one had caught his eye. It was that 90s Mario game that he had heard about a lot but never played. It sounded cool, but he kept watching. Then Mario Power Washing Simulator showed up and he thought, I'll never touch this game once. But then, with Super Mario Galaxy included in this bundle, that $60 was as good as Nintendo's. When Super Mario 3D All-Stars released, Bob played through Super Mario Galaxy and left the other games for another time, which came very quickly with COVID. But anyways, eventually it was time to boot up this game called Super Mario Sunshine, and as you could see before, Bob was not a fan. It was different than Galaxy. It was even different than Mario 64. It was annoying as anything. But anyways, with that little story time out of the way, I must tell you, this character I referred to as Bob, well, that is yours truly in his first Mario video.
Well, of course I know him. He's me.
And that, my friends, is how I found this game. You see, I didn't even get past Bianco Hills before throwing this game into a dumpster. That's why I've made a rule for myself to at least make it halfway through a game before ranking it in a video. Once I became familiar with the controls, the game actually wasn't too bad, and I feel like if fans like myself gave it a real chance, the game is really fun. And like I said, I have no nostalgia bias for this game, so don't even give me that crap. So let's start the review on the most underrated Mario game that I've ever played. First off, if you're here for a quick and non-spoiler explanation of the game's strengths and weaknesses, this is not the video for you. I would check out my top 10 Mario games video for that, but this video will be diving into the game in all of its glory. So without further delay, let's get started with the introduction. Mario and friends go on vacation to escape the responsibilities of the Mushroom Kingdom and Bowser's antics. When do they ever learn? Anyways, the police of the area literally watch Mario clean up the runway just to arrest him for making the mess without proper trial. I'll tell ya, the Piantas, they're not really getting on my good side, but I might as well help them out because I'm a nice guy. We find out that the culprit is Shadow Mario, who framed Mario so he could steal Peach. The beginning of this game is kind of annoying because you, no kidding, have to fight the same exact boss 5 different times. Anyways, we track him to Bianco Hills where we meet the homie Petey Piranha. Yeah, like pretty much all the other enemies in this game, he doesn't really like water too much. That's why you're given Flood, your very own partner in crime. Flood can spray water and be used to hover for a short period of time. This sounds pretty helpful, right? Well then it would be a shame if I happened to take this from you. Welcome to Secret Levels, otherwise known as Hell, where you simultaneously listen to one of the best remixes ever created while also losing every last part of your goddamn mind. If you don't like grinding out hard levels, this is probably not the game for you, since I guarantee you will game over on at least half of them. But it's part of the ride. The second Bianco Hills secret level is the first really hard one, as you have to precisely time about 30 jumps. It also introduces you to rotating platforms, this time in the form of cubes. Because of physics, the slightest bad movement will send you slip and sliding to an endless pit. One of the last levels in Bianco Hills features these wind things, and these guys had to be one of the most annoying Mario enemies of all time. These guys are only found in the sky, and they are designed to knock you back to ground level and have you climb up again. With that out of the way, we go to our next location, Rico Harbor, which has some banger music by the way. So I'm sure you've heard of Only Up, the game or genre that focuses on climbing and platforming to reach the highest you can go. Well, Rico Harbor created that idea because you have to climb up so high on these skinny platforms just for you to fall, get hit, or who knows what and fall all the way back to the water. And guess what? When you get to the top, guess who's waiting? The boss for Rico Harbor is none other than the Gooper Blooper, and this just feels wrong. You have to rip off and amputate all of his limbs before grabbing his mouth and slingshotting it to the next dimension. Nothing about this feels right, and I hate every second of it. There's also this stupid fruit level with Yoshi, and you heard that right, Yoshi's in the game, but we'll get back to him later. But this can't possibly get worse, right? Yeah, tell that to Sunshine, because we got one of the worst secret levels as well. You know, with my Chuckster short from a while ago, I would not stop getting comments telling me that I forgot the secret level that they remade in Super Mario Galaxy 2 as well. No, I did not forget, it was just too much for one short. The spiraling platforms are fine, but these are the most janky and frustrating things I have set eyes on. Stuff like this even happens, like what the heck? Rico Harbor is by far the worst area in the game for me, and it isn't even close. The only fun thing here is blooper surfing, and even that has its downsides at times. This brings us to Gelato Beach, where, like the landscape, you have some highs and lows. The sand mechanic is pretty cool. Did I just compliment sand? The secret level isn't too bad. It can actually be enjoyed, along with most of the levels being unique, but also taking a chill pill on the difficulty for once. The boss this time is a wiggler that certainly ate his veggies, and he's also kinda pissed that you woke him up. Wouldn't we all? He's nightmare fuel, but at least with the help of sandcastles, the fight isn't too difficult. Oh, but don't worry, 2 specific levels make up for that and more. You go down the slide, jump off a trampoline, and can I go back please? The Sandbird level is another brutal one for this game, as you have to stay on the platform while collecting red and blue coins during the flapping of wings, sudden changes of angle, and more. It's a toughie for sure. Then we have the Watermelon Festival, which is a festive time for everyone at Gelato Beach, except for you. You have to bring this massive and quite fragile watermelon from the top of the hill all the way onto the bar just off the beach. Now, quick question, have you ever been Mario Karted? Well, that's what it feels like when the Cataquacks devote their lives to slaughtering you and ruining your hopes and dreams in the form of a watermelon. They fling it away and then proceed to juggle you in the air like it's Super Smash Bros. Sometime along here you will see that Princess Peach has officially been snagged once again, so you trace Shadow Mario to Pianta Park. There he breaks out his massive robot statue thing and initiates one of the best bosses in the game. You're on a roller coaster and you have to shoot missiles at the robot while avoiding its missiles. His bullet bills are lock on, but your hits do a lot more damage. After defeating him, you have a little story dialogue where we find out that Bowser Jr. is Shadow Mario and Bowser lied to him so he could do his dirty work. Kinda messed up if you ask me. Once you finish that, you will most likely end up in Nokia Bay, which is the most sane location in the entire game. I also really like the platforming as well. For the agenda, you unplug a waterfall, survive poison water that doesn't instant kill you for once, go through a maze that is actually quite linear, fight Gooper Blooper again for some reason, and do some underwater levels, which is something fresh. One of these underwater levels is a boss that you actually help instead of hurt for once in Mario's career. This eel is having some dental problems, so while you're underwater you need to spray water at his teeth to clean them. I don't get the science behind this one, but it's a pretty cool boss. Not to mention, but this is one of the areas that features Piantissimo, who challenges you to races. It's a pretty nice change of pace. Going back to Pianta Park, here you complete this really weird level to spawn Metal Mario and Delfino Plaza with a Yoshi egg. He does this a couple times with unlockables where you need to track him down and claim your prize basically. Anyways, with Yoshi unlocked you gain access to a variety of locations, and this is where we get to the bonus levels, and if you thought the secret levels were bad, the bonus ones are deadly. Or really easy and there's no in between. After I did some of the shines that I needed the nozzles and Yoshi for, I was curious of this shine that was locked in this room. There was no other way to enter, so I assumed that you needed to break in from this entrance at the bottom, so that's what I did. Oh my... The Pachinko Machine, one of the most infamous levels in the series. I had heard of it, but I had never bared my own eyes on this level. At first, it was impossible, given that I had the rocket nozzle instead of the hover nozzle. But even with that, it was still pretty difficult. Eventually though, you realize that the launcher isn't completely random and you can map out a pattern. Once I wrapped that up, it was time to investigate this other Yoshi area, and it turns out entering wasn't an easy feat. To unlock Yoshi, you have to track down the fruit that he wants and hand it to him. He also applies to that rule you never stop hearing about in science class: water is the universal solvent. So you might be asking, how do you get Yoshi all the way to that island? Well, you have to take a boat out to a different island to get picked up by another boat, which takes you to another boat, which eventually lands you at said island. This was a long process, so I went to the bathroom while the boat was traveling and Yoshi despawned. Yeah, if you don't feed Yoshi within a certain amount of time, he just dies. Kinda sad. Thankfully, if you make it to the second drop-off, there are some bananas waiting. After a few attempts, I finally made it to said island, and guess what was waiting? The lily pad ride was another level that I heard about, so I knew that this one was going to be tough. There is a current that screws with your momentum and you need to spray in order to nab all 8 red coins. Well, I missed some, so let's reset the level. Oops. Okay, but at least now I can reach the pipe without Yoshi. Oh. Well, I eventually made it back, and after a few attempts I got here, and I'll tell ya, I've never locked in more for a video game in my life, but miraculously I avoided death here. After that large detour, it was time to return to the actual game progression stuff. Serena Beach is probably the most drawn out area in the game, as the levels will take you some time as well as trial and error. The first level is the Manta Ray boss, that is actually pretty easy if you just spam spray all over the place. Then we get to the hotel, where the entire thing is full of ghosts. Great. The secret area also features this lovely platform again, and the other isn't much easier. Finding the pool can also be a disaster on your first couple playthroughs, as well as navigating in general. The casino is a pretty fun place though. I grew up with the minigames on the DS, and seeing the actual location with the original music is neat. In the casino you will find King Boo, who doesn't particularly like peppers. Also, them putting a red coin and other important stuff in the women's restroom is crazy. That wraps up Serena Beach, which leaves us with our final location, that being Pianta Village. There you need to spray some hot dogs, and then you'll eventually find yourself in a really difficult level. The Goopy Inferno gets rid of Flood and throws you into a basically lava covered area. Since you can't put out the flames yourself, you have to take a dip into the body of water and drag it through to get yourself an opening. Eventually you get into a position where you can't open up the path anymore and are forced to take a leap of faith. Just make sure you stick the landing. Following that is the Yoshi level. For this one you go down and whoops, okay, I'm dead. Wait a minute. What the? Huh? Anyways, you spray the entrance to the secret area, and here we go again. I did it my second try this time around. I guess you just go through so much pain the first time that you have it locked in the second. The final level here is the Fluff Festival, which is quite interesting. You have to collect all 8 red coins around the area and then grab one of the fluff petals to float towards the island. The fact that you can fall off so easily after you spawn the shine is terrible. So after you beat the first 6 levels in every area, Shadow Mario will appear for you to chase. After you've successfully caught him all 5 times, he will flood the entire island, forcing you to finally head into Corona Mountain and beat the game. And no, you will not contract disease along the way. Corona Mountain is an extremely hard level where you have to carefully time jumps, accurately steer a boat across lava, and then precisely rocket nozzle to the top of the mountain. I totally didn't miss some blue coins and die trying to pick them up. And speaking of that, I somehow haven't brought that up yet. Blue coins are these rare collectibles found in several places among levels. Being a fan of green stars, collecting them isn't too far off, even if it's less rewarding and more challenging. After some attempts, you will finally reach the top, where you interrupt Bowser's hot tub spa session. He gets pissed, like who wouldn't, and sends some fire your way along with the screams of Bowser Jr.'s missiles. The goal is to avoid everything while taking down all of the ends of the tub. Getting back on the platform is tough and makes this a rightfully challenging level. Bowser is defeated and has to admit to Bowser Jr. his lies, and Flood dies after the fight. Fortunately though, the Toads who have always been the helpless characters in the series actually resurrect your partner to be a part of your journey once again. And also you unlock some 6 shades and have some 100 coin levels to beat. And that's the game. Super Mario Sunshine is mostly frustrating and a pain to beat, but at the end of the day, it's a really challenging game and beating each level is fun and rewarding. Basically, it's so bad that it's good. Thanks for watching the video and be sure to check out some more of my content. I hope you enjoyed and I will see y'all on the next one. Have a good one.